Someone had started Butler's record player without asking. The fuck? That record had been given to Butler by someone trying to brighten his mood. Never hurts to receive gifts that are less than bribes. So Butler never remembered who had given him what. It didn't suit his taste, so it should have been collecting dust in a corner somewhere. Butler knocked on the door to his own office for the first time. Captain Philip Butler here. There was no answer, but he could tell that someone certainly was in there. It's probably the sound of humming. He must have been truly enjoying the classical music, playing at full blast. There's a knob? Get the fuck out of my office, bitch! Butler readied himself and opened the door. Classical music poured out, even though it was his own office. That alone made it feel like an entirely different room. Pardon me, Major? No. The Major was thin, tall, young, and apparently well-bred, listened happily to the music with a wine glass in his hand. The open bottle of wine was also something that had been offered to Butler by someone. The fuck? It was supposedly high quality, so he kept it at the bottom of his drawer, hoping to use it to bribe some wine lover someday. How is it? I understand it's from a good year. Oh God. Wine is a gift of the bountiful earth and the gods. Its quality, or lack thereof, surpasses human understanding. That is why enjoying it and learning the difference between the years is like having a conversation with the gods. So you like wine, Major? Wine is not a hobby. It is a culture, Captain. I already hate him. I already don't fucking like this douchebag. To take this rare crystallization of God's love and keep it in somewhere like a drawer. Such a sad thing to do. It must sadden even the one who sent you this wine. Wouldn't you agree? I don't give a fuck. It was wine far too expensive to be affordable with Butler's wages. Then, the careless way it was stored seemed to have been enough for Gabriel to spot it as a bribe. Your words leave a deep impression on me. I hope you'll add that wine to your collection as a sign of our new friendship. Boshone? Fucking pardon? What irony. Or is this a sign from God? Quite interesting. That is the true pleasure of having wine as the means to converse with the gods. Butler had no idea what the fuck he was saying. He tried to flip through channels, trying to match wavelengths, but nothing matched at all. However, this brief exchange of words gave Butler a general picture of who this Gabriel person was. A pretentious fucking cunt. Was he a beneficial person? No. Person he could control? Not that either. Boshone. That is the tragedy of wine. Boshone? Even the miraculous divine blessing of a good year transforms to ruby-colored sewage when violated by it. If you ask for a wine bottle at a restaurant, then once you remove the cork, you must pay for all of it, even if you didn't even have a sip. Well, yeah, you asked for a fucking bottle. Wine corks had a virginity to them. What the fuck? When you ask for a bottle and a cork is taken out, the contract over the wine is already complete. Whether the guest decides to drink it or not, they must pay for everything inside. Look, if we're gonna talk virginities, I really didn't think we were gonna fucking talk about a fucking wine bottles. Well, I mean, to be fair, we're not really gonna talk about virgins anyways in a story about prostitutes. But you know what? Whatever. Whether the guest decides to drink it or not, they must pay for everything inside. In that sense, one might say the cork was worth just as much as all the wine inside the bottle. However, there is one exception, by which you can return the bottle even after having a sip. That is Boshone, an unfortunate accident of wine where the smell of the cork invades and ruins its scent. That's why when they open a wine bottle at an expensive restaurant, they start with a tasting. It's to confirm that the product isn't affected by it. The chance of it occurring is extremely small. When that extremely low probability is combined with a bottle from a good year, we have an intersection of two miracles, good and bad. However, the two miracles do not cancel each other out. The good miracle of a good year is crushed by the bad miracle called Boshone. I mean, it's fucking Italian. for fucking something. I don't know. Fuck Italian people, okay? I don't... fuck the word. Fuck the language, not the people. Actually, that's actually really bad. He was probably hinting at the occupying forces, which ought to be pure, were stained with corruption. So, if you put a drop of piss in a barrel of wine, the whole barrel becomes piss? I mean... yeah. What a waste of my efforts to avoid such a crude analogy. I want you to fucking die. Pleasure to meet you, Captain. I'm Gabriel Caburaya. I don't think the two of us will get along well, but I'm pleased to meet you. Dickbag. 2 snipers. I don't like this guy, okay? I'm just gonna be fully honest. He already seems like a fucking shitbag. Pretentious fucks, they get the fucking wall. Okay? Just how it is. A fine restaurant. I can see why the general chose to frequent it. I'm surprised. I've got quite an appetite for the morning. Scent of the Hell's Angel. Good old Hell's Angels. The major was slender, so Butler had expected a single pancake and some coffee, but those expectations had been far off. Though it was morning, Gabriel's order was splendid enough to be a dinner. Margaret Wilson had a saying about the 3 meals. Eat breakfast like a king, eat lunch like a prince, and eat dinner like a pauper. The desire to eat a lot at night, when all you're going to do is sleep, is a temptation from Satan with the purpose of corrupting men. That's true. It's bad to eat right as you're about to sleep. Yes, that does make sense. It is strange that the start of our working day is our smallest meal, while our largest one is right before we sleep. I like that quote. Is this Margaret person some ancient poet? She's my grandmother. She's quite strict when it came to food. Oh no, sounds like she's quite a respectable person. No. So, let's enter our main discussion. Okay, good talk. To put it in the crude terms you seem to enjoy, let's have an end to this farce. Fine with me either way, sir. First, allow me to explain my task. You seem to think I'm dispatched from the GHQ to investigate corruption and collusion. The answer is yes, that's the job the GHQ wants me to do. On the surface, he had come to the title of Special Officer commissioned for the purpose of eliminating organized crime. In other words, as far as his title went, he was there to preserve public order, just like Butler. However, Butler was as well as all the corrupt officers under the Director General, hadn't accepted that explanation. They had been secretly sure that he had come to sneakily expose their own wrongdoing and in collusion with the local mafia groups. Maybe. And now, right after the man showed up, he was confessing that this was the truth. Sounds like you're pretty lucky then. We won't find a city more stable and in touch with its residents than ours. True. There aren't many cities with its leaders this in touch with its residents. Guess your job's gonna be over pretty soon. Please let the GHQ know that the city folk will be happy to. Conversations with you are quite amusing. I feel like I've slipped into the world of a movie. I've always wanted to take part in a conversation like this once in my life. Glad to hear it. There's nothing I'd like more than to please you. Butler returned the comment with his full smile, but he wasn't feeling that way on the inside. After all, from the brief conversations they had had between last night and now, he discovered that Gabriel was the type that he was worst at making friends with. What he was trying to figure out now was whether Gabriel was someone he couldn't be friends with, but otherwise harmless, or else a person who, on top of not being a friend, would bring him obnoxious harm. Which one of the two was this man? The latter. We all know it is. Let's get straight to my conclusion. I have proof that nearly all of the high officers under the Director General, as well as yourself, have been involved with influence peddling. Shrugs. Surely you must be joking. There's no way he had proof. Butler had managed it all carefully. That was why the Director General and the others couldn't disobey Butler, and why they'd allow Butler's side business. Because he had absolute confidence, Butler was able to answer immediately, with a smile and not even flinch. However, the truth is that we both have frigid knives at our throats. Oh, what do you mean by that? You have also formed a network of corruption with several GHQ officials, and possesses proof of that network as well. And since you have the cunning of a fox, you're using that proof as insurance for your own safety. Ah, sounds like you've got a few villains out there. The network of corruption that tied Butler to the officials that bestowed them with profit. But Butler had gained proof that they had participated in corruption. If Butler got the axe, then several famous officials in the GHQ upper stratum would go as well. Hey, that's what you gotta do with fucking blackmail. If I go down, everyone else goes with me. Surely the scale and effects of that would eventually lead to a large scandal. Even the general would get sacked. Since they were currently battling the Chinese military for supremacy, the uncovering of such a scandal could only bolster their enemies. Of course, since this might even affect the presidential elections, probes into corruption were always being put off. I mean that... Americans really don't fucking care about foreign policy, let's be fucking honest, okay? Full transparency, they don't give like 2 fucks half the time. Corruption itself is, of course, not something to be allowed. You know, they say flexibility is the best oil. How about a metaphor? The German army apparently had loads of incredible guns, many of which were very precise, the height of the craftsmanship. However, in this extreme cold on the Eastern Front, that precision worked against them, as most of the guns broke and became completely useless. And the Soviets, like, they're notorious for being able to like go through fucking mud and still work. Their guns were, to be put blunt, shoddy made, but flexible enough to have a little give. So they withstood both the cold and the battlefield dust, and too long. If you can't shorten your example a bit more, it loses its elegance. Anyway, skip to the end. Let's put aside the plans of the gentleman who dispatched me here. I have little interest in individual cases of corruption, collusion, and bribery. My, how derelict of duty you are. You understand my job is to protect the honor of the United States Army, not to expose corruption. Why on earth would I want to dredge up a scandal that hasn't even gone public yet? Now there's a shock. And here I pictured you as a more saintly dude. I get that a lot. Though my upbringing was the exact opposite of yours, I believe we are fundamentally the same in our thinking. I am no saint, I may be a gentleman, but I have never thought of myself as a good person. Oh, are you saying you're a bad person? Captain, what's the difference between good people and bad people? I think of it in this way. If you prioritize public benefit over your own ambitions, you're a good person. Otherwise, you're a bad person. Definitely seems to make sense to me. To go further, one might also draw a line between foolish bad people and wise bad people. Foolish bad people prioritize their own ambition. while bad people pretend it's for the public benefit. My, how wonderful. I feel our wavelengths may have finally matched. Though I could hardly call this meal delicious. It seems this meeting was worth the time. Finally, Butler thought he could see a bit more into the depths of the eyes of Gabriel. This major, who was apparently well brought up, probably made it big in the world while being adored by many stiff old men. However, that was apparently a front. In that sense, yes, this man was surely an even wiser evildoer than Butler. Getting back to the point. For that reason, I have no interest in investigating your corruption. If I dig you up, the entwined roots will uproot the entire field. True. After all, my mission is to protect the honor of the United States Army, not tarnish it. Haha, to use a Japanese proverb, let sleeping gods lie. Jesus said that even adultery inside one's heart is a sin. However, I believe no human exists who has not sinned inside their hearts. After all, Jesus himself can throw the stone. Whoa, to think a person with the name of an angel would criticize his master. I like you, Major. I totally get it from your introduction. So, is there any way I can help you? Indeed there is. That's why I'm having breakfast with you right now. First, I don't want to leave you with the mistaken impression that you and I are friends. Of course, Major, I would never be so audacious as to think that. Yeah, why would I ever be friends with you? Damn. Very well. And I came here as a special officer commissioned for the purpose of eliminating organized crime. In other words, you as the leader of the local Department of Public Order are my subordinate and my equipment, understand? Understood, sir. What was your nickname in high school, Phil? As you get, as your nickname in high school, Phil. Phil? Question mark. As a yes, sir. Then I'll call you Phil when we're alone. I'm going to have you become my property in a literal sense, Phil. Don't call me fucking Phil. The order had already gone through the Director General that Gabriel could be made as City 23's new Director of Public Order, while Butler as his aide. That's probably what Gabriel was referring to, but his almost cold smile seemed to indicate something more. You're gonna do whatever I want you to do, is what I get from that. Not sure I fully understand your meaning. Remember how you felt when you got your first girlfriend? You wanted to be with her 24 hours a day, didn't you? You wanted to have her body and mind all to yourself, right? You didn't want her to write or call anyone you didn't know. You didn't want her going out to meet anyone on her own. For some reason, it's always been the girl who acted that way, not me. My body must exude some strange aroma. People like that seem to gather around me. Hearing that makes me jealous of the other girls who tried to monopolize you. At the same time, I'm pleased to have surpassed them and become your new owner. I guess that means I'm not exactly normal, doesn't it? I see. At the very least, it would seem you aren't a good person. Phil, you'll be under observation 24 hours a day from now. From now on. Of course, your letters and phone calls will be examined. You may not leave my side without my permission. To go further, I would like you to forbid you from eating and sleeping without my permission. I'm not so demonic as that. Weird, is this deja vu? I could have sworn my last girlfriend said the same thing. I only mean you to devote yourself to your job. There's nothing strange about that. Preserving public order in City 23 is our job. is it not? As you say, sir. What a freak. I can't read this guy's thoughts. What's he planning? Butler was starting to feel as though he was having a staring contest with the snake. Oh, it's definitely a fucking snake. My title is Special Officer commissioned for the purpose of eliminating organized crime. My original job is to crack down on organized crime, is it not? There's nothing so shady going on in City 23, right? Phil, you hated farces, did you not? I feel the same. Okay. Even the GHQ has been discussing how East Tokyo has gotten too boisterous. The Japanese Mafia Primavera and the Chinese Golden Dragon Society. I know that those two stand at the eye of the typhoon. We have some trouble with those two organizations of residents, but it's already been dealt with. I'm pretty sure waking a child that's already been put to bed would run against your doctrine, right, Major? Not at all. That's why I'm a bad person. What a freak. Can I have some more good times with Yuki, please? Oh yeah, they have to fucking kill this guy first. So I told him, that's a sure thing, pretty clean, and now it's mine. I don't get it. As they chatted happily about stupid things, they looked like a pair of close school friends. And they kind of are. However, Alan's eyes never once left his binoculars, and Keith's remained on his gun sight. Even though nearly a full day and night had passed, since they had set up camp on this roof and entered sniping positions. There was a relaxed atmosphere, as though there were a bunch of female students chatting in a cafe. Oh, spotted a cat going after a bra. Where? Give me a hint. It's pretty high up. Whoa, careful there. I know it's interesting because it's swinging, but you can't eat it. Eat that. I see it. It's probably enjoying it because it's hanging out to dry. Hey, let's shoot and knock it down. Easy. I don't want to waste any bullets on a granny bra like that. C cup, D cup, got a nosebleed coming up. I'll laugh to death, you're killing me. Normally snipers wait by killing their mines and waiting for their prey, like a lizard on or a deep sea fish. Once even Keith had believed that was the only rule. However, Alan had torn that boring common knowledge apart. Keith believed that Alan's skill, which was no greater or lesser than his own sniping ability, was in his own ability to joke. At first, he had mocked it. He'd believed that having a heart as cold as rock was a requirement for pulling off the perfect job. However, he had been wrong. Rocks are easily cracked, and can even crumble. However, willows are different. They may shake in the wind, but they never snap. Keith had been made deeply aware of that on the vicious parched battlefield. Part of Alan's character that made him never forget humor, no matter the situation, and certainly earned him the displeasure of his bullying superior officers. But despite that, he never let it get to him, and it even earned him the favor of some superiors who found it amusing. If it were for Alan, Keith would never have survived those 3 months fighting all alone, much less the time spent at the prison camp. The harder you try to be a rock, the more fragile you are. When you crack, you'll crumble to pieces in a flash. Only Alan's cheerfulness could have given him the strength to survive the harsh life in the army and in that prison camp. Ever since then, Alan was nothing less than the son to Keith. Whenever he couldn't see Alan, it was as though the sun had set and night had fallen. And when Alan showed himself, it was as though the sun had risen and morning had come. So even though it was getting late and the air was chilly, their brightness remained unchanged. As long as they remained together, the sun would never set. What's the time? Glad you asked. Problem time is drawing near. Let's get our spirits up. Roger that. If he doesn't show up, this is gonna turn into a long job. If he doesn't show up by midnight, let's contact Oliver. They won't be able to remain tense so long. They'd better take shifts. Young kids have got no endurance. And I feel like a private first class. There's no trace of weariness about them. Relaxation and concentration. The combination of those two things had made the pair geniuses at sniping. Then they both tensed up at the same moment. The headlights of several cars were coming down the street in front of the hotel. There were 3 cars, and they all stopped in front of the hotel. The snipers had the hotel under constant observation since the previous night, and they had never seen 3 cars stop at this desolate hotel at once. Yeah, go figure. That's not what we'd expected. The boss said Davis would be alone. It's fine. It's just gonna make it. This just makes it easier to tell. Sniping was the right decision. If the plan was to take him out at close range, they would have taken us out instead. Yeah, duh. Normally, the best plan for taking Davis out would be to ambush him in the hotel. However, they had made the correct decision sniping. After considering Davis's good instincts, the chances that he would bring a large group of underlings like this. Suited, grim-faced, obviously well-muscled men came out of the cars, one after another. With their hands clearly in their pockets, they scattered around the area, glaring at all parts of the dim street. The bosses didn't want witnesses, right? Yeah, we were told to keep them as few as humanly possible. But if we let this chance slip by, who knows if we'll get another. I know the boss said not letting them get away was our first priority. So do we take them? Though if we don't want witnesses, maybe we should take them all out. One shot will be fine. Let's take just him down. After that, when it gets crazy and the police show up, I'm sure they'll run home. Wonder how much it's gonna cost to have Butler to hush this up. How much it's gonna cost? You don't mean we're paying, right? Well, if we take him out without getting the captain involved, they said we'd get a bonus. Hey, I never heard about that. From what they'd heard beforehand, this man was a swindler, pretending to be a young businessman, but he supposedly wasn't connected to any organization.